want to talk about your elevator pitch. Your elevator pitch is 15 to 30 seconds long. You can go online to figure out how many words that is, depending on how fast you speak. The quick pitch is, first, your claim to fame, i.e., what service do you provide? Second, the problem. And third, the solution. What's the pain and what's the or the suffering that your service alleviates? And finally, what's your mission? Why are you doing what you do? Why do you care about offering collaborative services? What's your personal stake in it? Those are the elements of a quick pitch and the length. Next week, we'll talk about how to pitch it. Once you've created your social pitch, how do you develop the most effective pitch possible? That's a question that I've been asked many times. And it's not that hard to answer. As you deliver your pitch, once you've got it memorized, and the reason that you have it memorized is because you can then watch your audience while you're delivering it. And that's pretty critical. You watch how your pitch lands, and then you can hone it. Certain words that you may use in your pitch may not be received well. And so you may look for similar words that aren't quite the same. For example, my elevator pitch used to be, I help people divorce each other without destroying their families or their finances. I liked it because it was alliterative, and that's what I am. But it didn't seem to land that well. And I realized that most of the folks that I was delivering my pitch to were everyday people. And so what the words that meant more to them were words like savings accounts, bank accounts, savings. And so my elevator pitch changed accordingly. So that's what I mean by watch how it lands and hone it. Work on the actual words that you're using to convey your passion and your emotion about why you do what you do. You'll deliver it often, and we talked about that, why you should deliver it often. One thing that you might want to do is deliver it to your family members. Now, I say this because I actually heard of someone, this didn't happen to me, but he gave his pitch to his kids and his adult children, and one of them looked at him and said, Dad, I have a client for you. I didn't realize what you do for a living, and I can refer you a client. So deliver your pitch to your family and have them critique it. They can help you hone your pitch. So the more you give your pitch, the more you realize what's working, what's not working, and you fix it. That's one thing that you can do to create a more effective pitch. But another is give some thought to the different types of clients that you have. Maybe you have one pitch for a certain type of client or for a certain type of service that you offer. Maybe you have a slightly different pitch for a different service that you offer, a different client that you're looking for. So keep in mind that your pitch may differ depending on who you're giving your pitch to. If you can garner who the person is that you're talking to before you deliver the pitch, then that will change your pitch. So for example, if I'm delivering my pitch, my quick pitch to someone who doesn't have children, then I might not say without destroying your family. I might say without destroying your finances or without destroying your savings. So your pitch will change depending on who you're giving the pitch to, and you may then end up with more than one very effective pitch. People ask me all the time, how do I increase my retention of clients? And I actually have a list of tips that I like to hand to people who ask me that question. You really shouldn't let potential clients slip away from you because of common mistakes that we all make. So check to make sure that you aren't doing this. Don't include links on your website like Avo that drive potential clients off your page and onto other websites where other lawyers are advertising and where they can find other lawyers. The trick is to, if you're going to include a link to Avo, perhaps because you're highly rated by Avo, then make sure that that link takes them to a new website, that it opens a new page so that they don't lose the page where you are, so that they can always get back to you easily. Which reminds me, make sure that that they know how to get to your office, that it's easy, that you have easy instructions on how to get to your office. Because simply having a barrier up like it's difficult to find your office can decrease your retention of clients. So I make sure that we have easy to follow instructions. I also have a very easy place to park. You don't have to pay to park where I am, and you just walk in the front door rather than having elevators, which I also find reduces client retention. Probably not significantly, but if it does, I don't like it. So I make sure that I'm on the ground floor and easy to get to. Avoid including links to court decisions and to statutes that lay people, A, won't understand, and B, will take them, again, off your page. If you're going to include links like that, at the very least, make sure that they open on a new page. Include easily accessible contact information. So don't make it hard for them to find out how to talk to you. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to websites where I'm looking for a phone number, I'm looking for an address, and they're nowhere to be found. The best I can do on a lot of websites, and I'm sure you've had this happen to you too, is there's a contact page, and you open it up and it will send an email for you to someone you can't even see where it's going to. So you don't even have the email contact. So don't do that. Give your phone number, your address, your email. Make it easy for them to find that on your website. Respond to a potential client in a way that she reached out to you. So if someone texts you, I don't text as a rule because it's hard to save texts. And in my business, I'm a lawyer. It's important to be able to save what clients send to me. But if I'm contacted by text, I will respond by text because that is the client's preferred mode of operation. And it's not until I get them in my office that I can explain to them that we are always available by email. And that's how we prefer to communicate if it's going to be that type of communication. Obviously, telephone is good too, but when I'm comparing texts and emails, it's emails. Provide your staff with a script of how you want phone calls answered. That way you can make sure that your staff is telling people what you want them to tell people. You need to manage that. I was training staff and I listened to a staffer respond to a client, and I was really surprised at what the staffer was doing. She hadn't yet been trained, so we addressed the problem right away. But you never know what your staff is saying until you've trained them to say what you want them to say. Make a good first impression by having a well-furnished office. My office is very relaxed. That's part of my brand. I believe in the Tommy Bahama lifestyle. So now you actually have a picture of my office in your head. You know what it looks like because I've just described it in a very catchphrase kind of way. But other lawyers have different types of offices. Marriage counselors have totally different types of offices. Think about how you want your office to come across, and then make sure that it reflects the brand that you're trying to portray. And then last but not least, remember to manage your online reviews. You want to make sure that your reviews say what you want them to say about you. And if you've gotten a bad review, then either arrange to have it taken down or you can arrange to cover it up. And those are the things that you need to do. That's my tip list for increasing your retention of clients. So we're talking about pitches, and specifically we're talking about elevator pitches. I think the one thing that people don't realize, unless they've been around for as long as I have, which is a very long time, you practice your pitch often and always. You practice it in your family. You practice it in front of the mirror. You practice it to your staff. And quite frankly, you train your staff to deliver their own pitches and deliver them back to you. You practice it because you revise it. I want to say that your pitch is never perfect. My experience is that my pitch is never perfect, in part because as time passes and I have new cases and I get older and I grow and I mature, my pitch morphs a little bit every day. It morphs a little bit every year. And so as I'm delivering it, I'm watching the faces of the people I give it to because I want to see how it lands. I want to see how I'm delivering it, whether I can gauge the reaction, whether I can make it better. So practice, practice, practice. And that's tip number 5. Once you've developed the basics of your quick pitch, you're going to build around that. As you see how it's delivered and what questions people ask you after you've delivered it, you'll know what questions are in other people's minds that they aren't asking, and you can start answering those questions. One of the things that you do early with your quick pitch is you deliver it to lots of people you don't know. And people always feel odd about doing that when I tell them to do that. But then when they do, it's really amazing the results they get. One gal in Ohio left a training where I had taught them how to do their quick pitch. And on the way home, she had an Uber. She delivered the quick pitch to the Uber driver, who engaged in conversation the entire trip to the airport about her collaborative divorce practice. When she got home, she took a taxi and delivered the quick pitch to the taxi driver, who then sent her a client. So it was the second time she pitched it. The way she told it to me, she got a client the second time she pitched it, which was only hours after memorizing it, if you will. And so you get results. So we're still talking about pitches. I've got a few more tips before we move on. I want to remind everybody, if you don't know this yet, if you haven't heard me say it, memorize your pitch, especially a short pitch like your elevator pitch. You can memorize that, and that way that frees you up to watch your listener. You don't have to be thinking and concentrating. You can watch your listener. You can engage with your listener with your eyes, with your face, with your hands, and project. You have to project. If you don't enunciate, they won't hear you. If you're unsure of yourself, they won't hear you. So those are 2 important tips. Smile. You all know that smiling changes your perspective. It actually has an impact on how you feel about what you're talking about. If you smile, you will be more able to project a feeling of confidence and happiness with what you're doing. Finish strong, and finish with a call to action. Now, you may not have your call to action in your elevator pitch because your elevator pitch may be that short. It's 15 to 30 seconds. But be prepared for a call to action. Call me to find out more. Email me to find out more. I'm easy to find because I'm at such and such an address. Or you can find me on the internet pretty easily. Or go to your bar website. You can find me there. We're talking about being on the elevator where people can't even take notes. So give that some thought. Be prepared. Sounds like the Boy Scout motto. Be prepared. And that's tip number 7.